So we are going to be now starting with the last part of it, that is using what are macros, creating macros and using macros and all that. So let's quickly move over to the desktop. Fine. A blank document. There's nothing in this now. What are macros? Macros are a common word which are available with these kind of softwares, whether we are talking about Calc or we are talking about MS Excel or we are talking about MS Word or PowerPoint. These macros are small code. They are actually the programs. Okay. The concept of macros is to repeat something. A set of codes, a set of lines, set of commands which you want to repeat, they are stored in a macro. So in short, macro is name given or set of steps which are recorded that can be executed to perform a repeated task, to perform one task again and again, so that the user need not spend his time in performing that task again. He can just run the macro and that macro is going to perform everything for you. Let's get started how to work with the macro. So first thing, how to access the macro. From where do we access the macro? Macros can be accessed from tools. Click on tools, then go to macros. So this is the place from where you're going to access the macros. Then we go on to the first option that is called as record macros. So the moment you're going to click on this record macros, your macro recording is going to be activated. So I'm just going to click on this record macros. Now in this record macros, what I'm doing is, now you will find the moment I've clicked on record macros, there is one small dialog box which is available over here. This is your macro is getting recorded. Okay. So as long as you're going to be working, this dialog box is going to be over here. Once you're finished doing your job, then just click on stop recording. So what I'm doing is I'm just entering some marks over here. And then on the next line, I'm just writing a function to add up these marks. I'm just writing a code to add these marks. So this is equal to this plus this plus this. And then just click on this accept sign. So you get the total over here. Now this is the macro which I've done. And I just click on stop recording. When I click on stop recording, I get this dialog box. The steps which I wanted to perform, I have already done and I've already recorded. Now, I just want to save this particular macro. So the moment I click on stop recording, this OpenOffice basic macros, this dialog box is going to open for me. In this dialog box, I have got my macros, I have got OpenOffice macros, and I've got untitled one. Untitled one is my file on which I'm working right now. So what are we going to do is, I'm just going to click on this plus sign of this untitled one. If there is any library or any other module within this untitled one, then that will show up over here. But right now that is not seen because I have not saved my file. When I save my file, I will be able to see my standard library. But that is not a problem. What I can do is I can just add a new library over here. So I'll click on new library. Let this be library 1 itself. I don't want to change the name. So this is library 1. Within that library, it's going to automatically create a module, module 1. If that is not created, you can just click on new module and that will create the module for you. So I first went into my file, untitled one, or if I've given the name for that particular file, that name is going to come over here. Then I went to the library. Within the library, I will find a module. If that module is there, I can start creating in that module itself. If the module is not there, you don't have to worry. Just click on this new module and it will create a new module for you. Say, for example, there's already module 1. But still, I am clicking on new module. So it creates module 2 for me. I can add that also. There's no problem over here. I go back to this module 1. Now, each module will by default have one one function which is called as main, one subroutine which is called as main. Now, this is by default there. You don't have to do anything with that. I'm on module 1, and over here, I want to save my macro. Give the name for the macro. What name you want to give? So I'm giving the name for my macro over here. The name of my macro which I'm giving is show numbers. Show numbers. This is the name of my macro. And then I click on save. So my macro has been saved. Now, even if this is not there, all this is gone from here, right? And I keep my cursor anywhere over here. Now I want to run my macro. I click on tools. I go to macros. Then I click on run macros. You will find that in this untitled one, there is one macro over here. There's one library over here, library 1, which we added. In that, there is one module 1, and there is a macro called show numbers. Click on this and then click on run. You find that all the steps that you had performed during that macro, they have already come over here. Fine. Now, where can we apply this? It's very simple. What is going to happen is, this is the macro which is getting recorded. It is specific to that particular cell on that sheet. So you will find that if I'm running this macro on the other sheets, wherever I keep my cursor, and see, I'm on sheet from 1, I've gone to sheet number 2, and I click on tools, I go to macros, and then I click on run macros. I click on this untitled 1, library 1, module 1, click on show numbers and click on run. So my macro has run on this sheet number 2, and I've got those numbers over here. This can be used for creating some format or creating some layout or doing some calculations which are repeatedly done on every sheet. There might be 10 sheets or there might be 20 sheets, and in all the sheets, you've got the same things to be performed again and again. For example, let's take another example over here. I go back to sheet number 1, and in this, let's take the same example as we did earlier, name and marks of one subject. So these are the names which I've got, and these are the marks which I have got. Now I want to calculate the total over here. And it is the same situation which I have on all the other sheets also at this particular place. Now, one thing which I would like to highlight is that this is recorded specific to the cell address, which means that if I have written a macro which is applicable for the cell B9, B10, B11, B12, and B13, it is going to work exactly on those cells in all the sheets. You cannot change the position of these in the other sheets and then expect the same result. The results will change then, right? I'll show you that also. So I'm copying this and then I'm taking it to sheet number 2. Where was this? It was on A8. So I'm going to A8 over here on sheet number 2. I'm going to sheet number 3 and I'm going to A8 and pasting it over here. Now let's come back to sheet number 1. In sheet number 1, I will start recording the macro now. So let's see this carefully. Go to tools, go to macros, click on record macros. Now my macro recording has already started. What I do is I want to add the total marks of English of all the students. So I keep my cursor over here. I press equal to sign. Everyone knows how to write the formula in Excel and in Calc. All the formulas will always start with equal to. And what I want to do is add the marks of this plus marks of this plus marks of this plus marks of this plus this, and press enter. Either you press enter or you click on this except sign. So I click on this except sign. So my total is 351. Okay. And I stop recording my macro. When I stop recording my macro, what is it going to ask? Give the name for the macro. So I want to give the name as subject total. See, now it has automatically taken that you're working in Untitled 1, you're working in Library 1, and you're on Module 1. But if you want to change to Module 2, then also it will work perfectly fine. There's no problem. So click on this and then click on Save. Subject total. Let's go to sheet number 2. In sheet number 2, instead of English, now this is, say, maths. The marks are slightly different now. Okay. And sheet number 3, this is science. It's the position which is important. I'm going to show you writing at another position also, and we will see how it works. So I go back to sheet number 2. I keep my cursor over here on this, where I want the result. I click on tools, and then I go to macros, and then I click on run macros. When I click on run macros, I go to the macro which I want to run, module 1, subject total, and then run. So you get the subject total over here. The subject total for maths is 417. What was the subject total for English? It was 351. For maths, it is 417. And let's look for science. For science, click on tools, click on macros, click on run macro, Untitled 1, Library 1, Module 1, subject total, run. The subject total is 309. Now this is linked with the cell. So if, say for example, in English, after the correction and all that, after the rectification, the marks of this particular child are 97. So see the total. It was 351 right now. Now this has changed to 403. It's automatically changing. This is 87. This is 89. This is 98. And this is 99. So the total has automatically changed. Same thing will happen with the rest of them also. So that's the basic use of macros. Over here, as I said, it's applicable for that particular location. So by chance, if you have done something like this, instead of copying this at this particular location starting at A8, had you written your marks, I'm adding one more sheet over here after this current sheet, and I'm copying this. So I'm copying it over here, and these are the marks of social science. And the marks are like this. And I want to get the same total. I got it for the rest of the 3 subjects. I want to get the same kind of total over here. So I keep my cursor over here, and then I go to tools, same procedure, go to macros, click on run macro, go to the location where the macro is. It's in module 1. And the name of the macro which I want to run is subject total. Click on that and then click on run. See the total which you get. Where did you get the total? You got the total at B14. Why B14? Because that was the place where you had recorded your macro. B14 is the place where you're getting the total. When you had recorded the macro, you had kept your cursor at B14. So you're getting your total at B14 itself. And what is the total you're getting? 0. Because the value of all the values which you have given over here, they are 0. Okay. So that was about recording a simple macro. Now, this is what I said is specific to the value, but you can also create macros which are for formatting. Say, for example, I click on this cell location and I want to change the font, and I select this Comic Sans font. I change the font size and I make it bold, and I change the font color. So this is what I want. This is what I want to apply at all the other places. So what are the steps which I have to do? I have to click on that particular cell. I have to go and select the font. I have to change the size. I have to click on bold, and I have to change the color. So these 4 or 5 steps which I had to do, I can record them in the macro and then just run the macro itself. Let's see that. So let's come out of this. We go back to the normal. Keep a cursor over here. Go to tools. Go to macro. Record macro. The macro recording has already started. Now change the, okay, so now I will just change the font to Comic Sans. I've selected the font as Comic Sans, and then I change the size to 15, and then I make it bold, and I change the color of this particular font. And I stop recording my macro. Give the name for this, change font, and click on save. So my macro has been recorded. Now, where do I want to apply this macro? I want to apply it on this. So what do? Keep your cursor over there, go to tools, go to macros, run the macro, select the macro which you want to run. I want to run the change font macro. See, the macro has been applied over there. I want to apply that same macro on all this. Click on tools, click on macros, run macro, untitled, library, module 1, change font. It changes the font for all of them. Okay, so a repeated kind of steps which you want to perform again and again can be done with the help of the macros. You can perform this on the other sheets also without any problem. Select this, tools, macros, run macro, untitled, library, module 1, change font, run. So this macro has been performed. Okay. Now let's go one step further. How to use macro as a function. How to create macro as a function. So I'm going to a new sheet, sheet number 5, blank sheet, and I'm writing a function over here. Now, how do I write a function? This is going to involve little bit of programming. It's programming which we are going to do it in Visual Basic, Star Basic. If you know Visual Basic, Star Basic, this program is going to be easy for you. But otherwise also, we are just going to do little bit of programming. It should not be very complicated for you. I'm just going to take you step by step and you will be able to understand. So for doing that function programming, I go to tools, macros, and then I go to organize macros. When I go to organize macros, I've got various options over here. And then in organize macros, I go to this OpenOffice Basic. Click on this OpenOffice Basic. You will come to this particular same window. But now, instead of giving the name for the macro, you are going to go to edit. Click on edit. When you click on edit, it opens a OpenOffice Basic library, this module, entire module for you. Now, there is already a lot of coding which has been done over here. You don't have to worry about all this coding. This is the coding which is done for all the macros which we have recorded. Don't worry about all this. Just leave it as it is. We are not going to do all this programming, but little introduction about it. So we come to the first line on top of this. You see one word over here, REM. REM is a command word for remarks entry. So whenever you start a line, whenever you start any command with REM, the rest of the line is considered as a remark entry and it is not executed at all. It's not run at all. So any command which you're going to write after REM will not be executed. So that's for remark entry. Every module is going to have this sub main and end sub. This is by default there. I had shown you that when I clicked on module 1, main was already there. When I clicked on module 2, main was already there. I don't have to touch this. So whenever you're doing this editing, please ensure that you don't write anything between submain and end sub. This is together. Submain and end sub is together. Don't write anything in between these two. And don't delete this also. Okay. Then you will find that there are other programs which are written, other functions which are written. You find one sub show numbers, and then you will find one end sub. Subject total we had written. See the coding for subject total. Sub, subject total, all the coding is done, and then end sub. Sub, change font, all the coding for change font is done, and then there is one end sub. Now we are supposed to write a function for our use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start writing my function after end sub. After end sub, just press enter and then put some blank lines so that it is not interfering in between. And then maybe if you want, you can just write rem over here and then write down star 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 my functions. So all your functions you're going to start from here. That's it. Now let's start writing the first function. So I'm writing the function. The word over here is function. Function is a command word. It's a reserved word. You cannot change this word. Okay. So like for example, end sub. End sub is a command word. You cannot change this. It has got a special meaning in this particular programming language. We are not learning the programming language right now, but in order to do something in this, we should be familiar with the grammar and the syntax of this particular language. Like for example, if I want to talk to you in Punjabi, I should know a little bit of Punjabi so that I can talk to you, right? So in the same way, I'm trying to write my function in this, so I should know a little bit about it. Function is a command word. I cannot change that. Name of the function is a user-defined word. I can change that. So I'm giving the name over here is mprint. Every function has a closing, opening and closing brackets, opening and closing parentheses. So I have given the name as mprint. Within this function, what I want to do is mprint equal to, what I want is, I want to print my name. So I'm just writing my address over here. After writing my address, my function is over. So I'm just going to end the function. I've finished my function. Now I'll just keep this over here as it is. See, what is the name of my function? The name of my function is mprint. What is it doing? It is just printing my name and the address. How do I run my function? How do we run sum function or average function? We always start with an equal to sign. So in the same way, you're going to write your function mprint bracket and press enter, and it performs the job for you. So it has done the job of printing your name and your address for you. This is one simple function which I've shown to you. Is this clear to everyone? Then we go to next step, function with some parameters. Since I had not closed the window is still open and I can just go and work on that window. But suppose if I had closed the window, I'm purposely closing the window so that I can show you how to go to the function once again. So I'm keeping my cursor. You can keep this anywhere on any of the sheets over here. I've taken sheet 5 just to keep it blank so that it's easy for you to understand. Then again, go to tools, go to macros, go to organize macros, click on OpenOffice Basic. See the steps: tools, macros, organize macros, OpenOffice Basic. Click on this. What do you have to do? Don't give any name or anything. You have to now start editing. See, in the first one, I was working with module 1. If you want, we can work with module 2. The module 2 will not have anything in it because it is blank. It's just main. I can write over there also. So click on module 2 and click on edit. You will find that it is blank. And I can write my coding over here. It's perfectly fine. As long as it is part of the same file, part of the same library, it's all going to work perfectly fine. Fine. So now I'm in this module 2 and I'm writing my second function. If you want to write in module 1 itself, you can do that also. How do we start the function? We start the function as name of that particular command word function. So all the functions will start with the command word function. Then you give the name of the function. So the name of the function is add bracket. What do I want to do? I want to add the marks of 4 subjects or 5 subjects. Add the marks of English, Hindi, Math, Science, or add the marks of 5 students, whatever. So I want to basically add 5 numbers. So I'm writing A, comma, B, comma, C, comma, D, comma, E. Now, what are these A, B, C, D, E? See where I have written them? I have written them inside the bracket. When I'm writing these variables, these are called as the variables whose value will change when the function is running. So A is one variable, B is another variable, C is another variable, D is another variable, and E is another variable. There are 5 things. If this 5 is too much, let's keep it restricted to only 2. Let's understand with 2 and then we will go to 5. So A comma B, 2 variables are there. Now, what I want to do is I want to add the value of A and B. So I'm just writing add, the name of the function once again, is equal to, what do we do? A plus B. Enter. Then end function. So what is my function going to do? It's going to take 2 numbers and add those 2 numbers. Now those 2 numbers can be in any way I want. So I'm just going to this place and I press equal to and I call add function. If you remember the sum function, it was adding 2 numbers. Now I have created my own function for adding 2 numbers. Okay, so I give the number as 67 semicolon. For giving the arguments, use the semicolon to separate the values. 67 semicolon 98. Close the bracket and press enter. The total is 165. Now this could also be in the form of, say for example, you've got the marks of English over here and marks of maths over here. And the marks of English are this, and this. Marks of maths are this, and this. And I want to get the total over here. I call my function. I say equal to add, bracket open, and I give this semicolon, this, and close the bracket, press enter. It adds the values for me. Fine. So this is now doing with the cell reference. I'm referring to that particular cell. So if the value of that particular cell is going to change tomorrow, if this is going to become 9, sorry, I had clicked over here and started with the function. So let me write the function once again over here also. For 2 people, we will write it. So I want the value to come from here, semicolon, and the value of this to be added, press enter. Now, what is the advantage? Suppose the marks of this particular child in English are changed. So you see the total is also changed. See, the total is getting changed automatically. Today you have learned what are macros, what is the basic concept of macros, how to start a macro, how to record a macro, how to run a macro, how to create a function using a macro. You have learned how to create a simple function, and you've also learned how to create a little advanced function, how to call a function. So all these concepts are done today with macros.